Corky Messner running for U.S. Senate in New Hampshire. That primary not decided way down the line until September. But Corky Messner, Republican candidate for Senate, has got great news and a big announcement. Corky, what is it?
Hey, good morning, John. How you doing?
Good, man.
Good morning.
Good morning, Martha. How are you?
Good morning. I hear you have big news.
Really big news. I was endorsed by President Trump.
Woo!
That happened this past Friday.
Hey, Corky.
Another President Trump endorsement. That's huge.
Corky Messner endorsed in his U.S. Senate primary by President Trump. Corky, that's
Huge.
Huge.
Huge. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a lot of hard work by my team, a lot of boots on the ground, going around the state, building grassroots support, and that convinced President Trump I'm the person to beat Gene Shaheen here in New Hampshire.
When are you guys inviting Godzilla back up there?
Oh, and don't forget
Mothra.
Mothra.
When are you guys inviting me
Martha.
back, Corky?
Yeah.
John, we'd love you up here as soon as you can get here. I know I talked to the 603 crew about
The
getting you up
603
here, and
crew. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, that's the reason why you're getting all this stuff going on is because of your 603 crew, led by Uncle Fred and Cousin Brucey.
That's it.
Uncle
That's
Fred
it.
and Cousin Brucey. Uncle Fred is House of Representatives, House of Representatives member Fred Doucette. I think he's like a majority leader or whip or something. He's tough. That's Uncle Fred Doucette. And then Cousin Brucey, he's in charge of the Wyndham Mafia.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and Bruce is running for county commissioner this go
he's
around.
running for county commissioner. Is that
Yeah.
bigger than Wyndham?
Well, it's a bigger job. There's a lot more for him to do, but he wanted to do it, so we're all supporting him.
Bruce Benton running for. See, they control everything up there. You go up to Wyndham and basically Lewandowski controls the entire city. It's the Wyndham Mafia, but now he's moving up in the world. You got Uncle Fred, Cousin Brucey, and Corky. Pretty exciting, man. Give us the heartbeat in New Hampshire, Corky. I know you go out and talk to people all the time. Both sides of the aisle, what are they saying?
Yeah, John, the mood here is one of, first of all, intense support for President Trump. Mm-hmm. Very intense support for President Trump. His approval rating amongst Republicans in New Hampshire is very high. It's, I think, 90%. Secondly, there is a concern in New Hampshire about liberty, and about economic freedom, and getting the economy back and getting small businesses open. As you know, John, New Hampshire is about small businesses, and the state is opening up now, and businesses are starting to operate. There's still some guidelines and restrictions, but this week restaurants were open for in-restaurant dining, so that's going on. So the focus has got to be on getting the economy back, getting the government out of the way of business, so the economy can get back to booming, which if you look at the retail numbers that were published the other day, it looks like that's happening, and making sure that we protect individual liberty. And we have seen here in New Hampshire with the leftists who now are in control of the state House and the state Senate, that they have been trying to pass legislation that takes away liberty, that increases taxes, and thankfully we have a great governor, and Governor Sununu. Last year, John, he had 57 vetoes, holding the line for liberty and economic freedom. And that's why this election is so important here, John, very, very important, because we have to win back the state House. We have to win back the state Senate. President Trump is going to win New Hampshire. He's going to win those 4 electoral votes, and I'm going to beat Jeanne Shaheen. And this is a super important election, and that's why it's important that we have unity in the Republican Party here, so we can get on and win this election up and down the ticket. And I'm going to beat Jeanne Shaheen.
How are you going to beat him, Corky? Her.
Well, expose her for the progressive that she is, John. What Jeanne Shaheen does is she hides in the fog of Washington, D.C., and she is very, very loyal to the progressives in Washington, D.C. And that's why I call her D.C. Jeanne Shaheen. And she votes very progressive. And then she comes back to New Hampshire and tries to pretend like she's a moderate. She is not a moderate.
Right.
She's a progressive. And we are going to expose that. We are going to expose her D.C. voting record.
We're back with the John Fredericks Show. Corky Messner, U.S. Senate candidate, New Hampshire. That'll be decided. That primary is in September. He's the favorite now to emerge as a nominee. Got the endorsement of President Trump. He's backed by Uncle Fred Doucette and cousin Brucey Benton, who's now running for supervisor up there. So I got to get back there pretty soon. Mothra with me. Mothra, Jim Wright, Northern Virginia says hi. Just want to tell you that. So, Corky, let's get to some of the issues. If you were in the U.S. Senate right now, are you in favor of another stimulus package, or do you think we need to wait and see how the economy goes?
Yeah, John, I am in favor of waiting and seeing what happens. There's still a significant amount of money from the original CARES Act that has not yet been distributed, that is still available. We just looked at this the other day, and there's almost $100 billion available under the original CARES Act as amended for the small business PPP loans. So there's money available, and I think it's unwise to pass another bill until we see where money might be needed, and then we can take a more precise approach to this than simply spending a whole bunch of more money when it might not be needed.
I think that makes sense because I had Rob Whitman on the other day, and he said, Congressman here in Virginia, and he said there's $100 billion remaining in the CARES Act just sitting there not utilized, because they increased the money to the PPP, and then everybody got what they were eligible for that wanted to do it, but there's still $100 billion. So I agree with you. Let's see what happens with that. Let's go to this armed insurrection in Seattle where people took over 7 blocks. If you were in the U.S. Senate right now, Corky Messner, how would you be viewing this?
Yeah, we cannot allow in our cities or anywhere for that matter this kind of unlawful behavior. I mean, it is absolutely important for a free society to prosper that there be law and order, that people respect laws, and that laws are enforced. This kind of activity is just unacceptable, and the city of Seattle ought to be doing something about it. It is not fair to their citizens there. It is not fair to the businesses there, and it should be dealt with. I mean, John, peaceful protest, as provided in the First Amendment, is something that we ought to honor and cherish whenever it's done peacefully, and that's a good thing. No matter what the cause, it's the First Amendment, and that ought to be applauded.
I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
I always said, peaceful protest, it's the sound of freedom. I may not agree with your opinion or what you're protesting, but I would fight with every breath I take for your freedom to say it. And that's always been the case. It'll always be the case. So I'm with you there. But, when we talk about Chaz, as I like to call it, children, hostile, angry hood, because that's not peaceful protest. That's vandalism. That is illegal activity, and you can dress it up and call it what are they calling it? A fair? Is it, what's the mayor calling it?
They're calling it a street fest.
They can call it a street fest all you want, but you've got, buildings that have been set on fire. You've had, I mean, it's just unbelievable that here today we're seeing this happen in our great beloved nation.
Martha, I agree with you, and we cannot allow it to happen. And when there's a huge difference between a peaceful protest and violence and rioting and vandalism and defacing buildings and monuments, and that latter category is lawlessness, and we cannot have lawlessness.
That's absolutely right.
Well, I tell you what, Corky, you came from nowhere in this race. You got some really tough candidates in there. We didn't know for a while if Corey Lewandowski was going to run. You got in early. You got a great team around you. You got the president's coveted endorsement. He doesn't do that lightly, so I congratulate you for that. Corky Messner. Corky, we got to win that seat back. People want to send you a few bucks. Where do they go?
CorkyForSenate.com, CorkyForSenate.com. Chip in a few bucks, and that will help me tremendously. John, I should add, too, that I didn't mention that I also received the endorsement of Senator Rand Paul a couple weeks ago. So
Fantastic.
He's behind me as well. I need help.
I just saw him the other day. Great guy, one of my most favorite senators. CorkyForSenate.com, CorkyForSenate.com.